What's up, family? In this video, we're going to talk about the Bible verse that will help you see through all the AI deception, and this is going to become even more important as we get closer to this world of illusions. I want to talk about the death of YouTube as we know it.
Your chicken's looking nice, pal.
Woo! Yo, he stole my chicken!
Got a crispy treasure, can't slow me down. Hot and golden, I'm out of this town.
Due to the rise of AI slop and how this is a golden time, a golden era for transmutation. You know, the alchemists talk about turning lead into gold. This is actually a metaphor for spiritual transformation. And you can use this to really live the best life that is crazy than your wildest imaginations. But you need to learn a few things. So I mentioned the Bible verse. The Bible verse here is, by their fruits you will know them. That's Matthew 7:20. And this isn't going to be a sermon or some kind of deep, Bible study, but I want you to pay attention to that quote. It's going to really become very important as we uncover some of the things we're going to talk about in this video. Recently, Mr. Beast made a post on Twitter, and he's basically shitting his pants. He said, when AI videos are just as good as normal videos, I wonder what that will do to YouTube and how it will impact millions of creators currently making content for a living. Scary times. To put things in perspective, he's like the #1 YouTuber. He makes millions of dollars per video. He has a large team. He understands how the algorithm works, but even he is looking at the situation and he's saying, well, we're cooked. Soon AI is going to replace all these like crazy videos I make with this infrastructure and these teams and setup. Someone could just generate that in Sora 5.0 and that'll probably get more views. So this is the surface level problem that a lot of people are probably noticing. Now, you might have heard of this word, this idea of AI slop and how we're living in the AI slop uprising. It took me just a few seconds before recording this video to find this particular video here that says, what in the Skibibi SpongeBob is going on? And it's 18 million views. It's crushing it. I've never had 18 million views in a video. So I would love to see what these people are doing to generate such. Okay, so SpongeBob, yeah. Okay, I don't even have anything to say about this video, but that's the surface level problem that people love, like this dumb shit, that people's attention spans are getting cooked, and this type of content is getting rewarded, and this type of content is flooding the YouTube algorithm. If you look on YouTube, especially in shorts, you see that it's a wasteland. It's like, The Walking Dead or something. It's a post-apocalyptic reality that's happening over there. You don't want to go over there. But what people don't understand is there's actually deeper implications of this fake AI video generation nonsense that's going on. The second order consequences were highlighted by this really popular channel called Kazahugan or whatever. I can't pronounce it, I'm sorry. In a nutshell, they make really good videos, science-based videos. And in this video here where it says AI slop is destroying the internet, they talk about how their channel has been receiving less engagement because of the rise of AI slop. Their process is to do thorough research, figure out the nuances of certain difficult topics, consult with experts the old-fashioned way, and then present a video that is well-informed. What they're seeing is a lot of probably kids are just using ChatGPT or Sora or Grok or whatever to do some surface-level research with these AI tools. But the problem is these AI tools have this little quirk where they just make up shit. It's called hallucinations. So they make up things that are not true. And if you're not checking, you can then post things assuming they're true. That stuff goes on the internet. Other AI tools use your stuff as input for their information. And before you know it, something that's completely not true becomes the truth through this flywheel effect, the situation we have where the AIs are eating and cannibalizing and are in this incestuous relationship with each other. That's a problem. I saw a channel recently, and I'm not even making fun of this channel, but this is just one example I saw. And this channel here uses Neville Goddard's teachings. Neville Goddard is a spiritual teacher, and it's got a full-on fake AI Neville Goddard that talks to the audience. And they use that Neville Goddard to promote their book. Obviously, they're trying to make some money on the back end. They got their ebook, and that's okay. It's okay to promote your stuff, but the problem is a lot of people are getting less and less they don't have the nuance to discern between what is real and what is fake. So a lot of these AI videos, AI slop, fake stories actually gain more traction than real stories because they tend to have more dopamine associated with them. If you can curate a fake narrative, that oftentimes is more interesting and compelling than a reality. So that's the second level of what's happening here. But it's going to get a lot worse than this. And I hate to sound like a doomsayer, but you need to understand the context of where we're at so that you can equip yourself with the knowledge, with the tools to survive the coming world. Because as I always say on this channel, a lot of the stuff that we are exposed to today, a lot of the issues we have today are because we weren't prepared for the technologies that arrived yesterday. The social medias, the phones, the smartphones, all this type of stuff. We weren't prepared for it, and we got absolutely like railed. We got destroyed, and AI is going to make things even crazier if you're not ready. So in a few years, reality for most people will be curated. It will be fake. Information will become impossible to discern if it's true or not. We're already seeing how good these video generation tools are, like Sora and other tools, VO3, etc., whatever. They're getting really good, and right now you can still tell that's AI. You know, it looks a bit weird, looks a bit wacky. But in a few years, as it gets better and better and better, you won't be able to discern what is a real video and what is fake. And this becomes a problem because a lot of people's idea of reality is based on what the internet is saying. It's based on what they're being told in the news, as we saw in recent years. They don't have their own grounding in reality. They are told what to believe. And when you can no longer know if what you're being told is true or not, you need other senses, subtle senses, to be able to navigate through reality, or you're just going to become a pawn for someone else's game. Digital IDs and verifications will be normalized. This is a very obvious repercussion of what's going to happen as the old internet will become a relic of the past. So obviously, we're going to have an issue of deep fakes, people pretending to be people they're not, videos that look real, faking disasters that are happening, etc. There's going to be all kinds of a can of worms that's going to open up. So just thinking from, I guess, first principles, just thinking about how governments have behaved before when there was an issue, they're going to have to come up with a solution. And the most obvious solution is going to be some sort of digital verification to prove that you are a real person and that something that you're being told is fake. So that's going to happen. And I'm pretty sure with like 95% certainty that's going to happen. Overall, truth is going to be harder to discern from illusions. So this reminds me of a scene from the Matrix movie, which is one of my favorite movies of all time because there's just so many parallels with the Matrix and the real world. So this character here, I think his name was Cypher. He's saying to the agents, I know this steak doesn't exist. I know that when I put it in my mouth, the Matrix is telling my brain that it's juicy and delicious.
After 9 years, you know what I realized? Ignorance is bliss.
He's been given this deal with the devil from the agents, and they're like, yo, man, you gotta come on outside, you know, betray these fools, and we're gonna give you like whatever you want in the Matrix. It's a fake reality, but it's gonna feel good. That's like a metaphor for what's happening now, in the sense that people are gonna have a choice of moving deeper into this digital world, this fake world, this world of fakeness, or they're going to have to unplug, feel a little bit of pain, and go back to reality, remembering what it means to be a human. So let's talk a little bit about illusions and reality. Unfortunately, illusions, just like Cypher's steak, are more popular than the authentic thing. And this is just a weird thing to do with humans. Reading the authentic teachings of our boy Neville Goddard, as we mentioned before, or Marcus Aurelius, is a ponderous task. It takes quite a bit of brain power. I remember it took me several years to actually finish Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. And that's a book I'm going to read for the rest of my life over and over again, because every single line is a banger and you have to think about it. That cannot be summarized in a quick little bullshit compilation, video, right, on YouTube. That you're not getting the depths, you're not getting the true knowledge from it. It requires you to spend time contemplating, spend time thinking about it, spend time reflecting on it, seeing how what is being said applies to your life, seeing the parallels. Most importantly, it requires you to put your principles to the test, to test it out, put it out to the test and see if it works. Most people are not ready for that level of commitment. They would rather settle for the watered down version, the gimmicky version. Instead of experiencing the real life progression, they opt in for the dopamine spikes, the sense of self-improvement. That's why the self-improvement industry is so huge. The bookstore is filled with books that people buy forever and ever, but a lot of people are still in the same position. There's so many self-help junkies, seminar junkies, biz op hoppers that never get results because they like the feeling of progression over the real thing. And maybe you're one of those people, but it's important to be honest with yourself and say, I'm one of those people and I want to change. Because true change requires sacrifice, it requires putting in a little bit of work. No one wants to hear that. We love our illusions. McDonald's will always be more popular than organic food. Streaming Netflix series will always be more popular than reading literature or reading a nonfiction book. Hookups and prawn will be more popular than long-term relationships very soon. We're seeing this happen because we love our illusions. So how do you pierce the veil? How do you see through the BS? The first thing you understand is that everything in the world comes on different scales, different forms. And this is basically a mental model that you can use. No one's saying that this is exactly how reality works, but it's just a useful way to look at it. It's the scale of energy, which was really popularized by David R. Hawkins in his book Power versus Force. Frederick Dodson talks about it, and Levels of Energy has his own scale. And Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks, and Jerry Hicks have the emotional guidance system. In layman's terms, think of a scale in which the bottom level is shame and the highest level is enlightenment. So shame is someone who absolutely hates themselves. They hate life. They might be close to, getting out of here, and they don't see a way forward. They're like at the lowest of the low level. Their vision is narrow. There's many distortions and filters in front of it that stop them from seeing things. Enlightenment might be someone sitting on top of some mountain, completely blissed out and living in like 5 different realities at once and healing people and flying and doing all sorts of crazy crap. Most of us live somewhere in the middle. There's different levels: guilt, apathy, grief, fear. As you can see, as it goes up, we move from contracted, what David R. Hawkins calls force, to expanded, which is power. And power is more beneficial than force. You don't want to be forcing things. Levels of Energy by Frederick Dodson is similar. Abraham Hicks talks about it in terms of emotions, where at the bottom you have fear, grief, depression, despair, powerlessness, which a lot of people reside in. And as you go up, you have emotions like anger, doubt, overwhelm, boredom, optimism, and then later on joy, appreciation, freedom, love. Less people are at the top there because they are burdened by the struggles of everyday life. What you have to understand is it's completely normal and human to have moments of anger, moments of insecurity. That's not what this is saying. It's not saying that you should eliminate those emotions, but you don't really want to be residing in these lower level emotions: shame, guilt, fear, anger, revenge, jealousy. And unfortunately, because of the socially conditioned matrix, a lot of people are in those lower level areas and they can't see a way out. You want to be joyous, you want to be enlightened, you want to be grateful, you want to be happy, you want to be empowered. All these higher vibration, I hate that vibe, but it is true. A higher vibration, more energy comes from that, because you only need a few people in the world that are vibrating or resonating at these higher frequencies to really change the world because they have more power. The people down here can't really do much. The people in shame, the people in hatred, they can't really do much. But just as people reside on these scales, different things also reside on these scales. You can use this as like a holographic metaphor for every single object, every single type of thing you might interact with in the world. Things with lower energy tend to give you a big hit of satisfaction on the front end. These are the dopamine inducers. They give you a big hit of pleasure on the front end, but they burn your ass on the back end. They tear you to pieces on the back end. Things with high energy don't give you as much benefit on the front end, but they'll give you a tremendous amount on the back end. And this is because, you know, the universe has these balancing principles where you're never going to get something that's completely good. You're never going to get something that's completely bad. You know, in Eastern philosophy, they talk about yin and yang. It's kind of like this duality, but it's not even duality. There's both, as I'll explain here. Take a look at this graph here. Let's say you are a fent addict. You love fentanyl. It's the shit. So when you start doing it, the benefit is immense. You're probably not going to feel as much pleasure as you will at taking fent initially. I'm not talking from experience, but the way those people be taking that, they look like they're loving it. But then after a while, shit just goes south. You start living in hell. You become a member of the realm of hungry ghosts, as Gabor Mate might call it. This you're traumatized, you can't escape your predicament, you're myopic, your health is shit, your friends hate you, you're looking to get hit by any means necessary, you're occupied by demonic spirits. So that's what happens given a long enough time horizon. The negative outweighs the good. It's a asymmetric type of ratio here that you get. Drugs will give you some insane benefit in terms of stimulation of front end. However, given a long enough time, they will destroy you. The back end forms what is called a long tail. So it just stretches and keeps going and going and going, taking much more than it gives you on the front end. Is truly a deal with the devil. Notice how the red area is a lot bigger than the green area. See that here? So your enjoyment of fent was lit, but as you keep taking it, you don't even enjoy it that much. You're just like a slave. And then after a while, you're like a zombie on the streets. And this even happens with things like plant medicine. And a lot of people rave about plant medicine. They love psychedelics. They love ayahuasca, mother ayahuasca and all this stuff. And I'm not saying that stuff is bad, right? I'm not saying that stuff is bad. It can be used in an integrated way, but more often than not, it's used as a form of escapism, as a form of spiritual hijacking, where you're trying to level up a few levels higher than what you probably should be doing. A good example of that is Conor Murphy, this YouTuber who used to be a stud doing these videos. He started doing ayahuasca like every day and then became like full batshit crazy.
Would take his shirt off for like reactions, like with girls and whatnot, pull their numbers, decide to dabble into the DMT pretty actively, and essentially lost his mind. Like he went on these long rants on social media. People were worried about his well-being. He was talking about drinking other dudes' semen and stuff for extra protein. Kind of like crazy, off-the-wall stuff for him. It was like maybe he had something undiagnosed they didn't know about mentally, and that kind of brought it to the forefront. I've also seen it happen to a couple other friends as well, where it's almost a psychosis.
I'm not saying this is what's going to happen to everyone, but I have seen it. It's not as bad as fent, but you probably could get a few things dwelling in your mind after a bad trip with LSD or psychedelics. So you need to look at the results. By their fruits, you will know them. Remember that biblical verse. Look at the case studies. Look at the examples out there in nature, people you've interacted with that have done this activity, and look at the results, because the results don't lie. You will know them by their fruits. Well, how about cornstarch? I remember there was this viral video that went out of this Lily Phillips girl crying after doing a particular deed. And, in interviews, she says, no, I wasn't crying because of the trauma and the shame and the I've been really kind of abusing my body and all this stuff. I just cried because, it's just a normal thing. I was just overwhelmed. I don't think so. There's a reason why so many corn stars disappear from the earth, and no one seems to talk about that. There's a reason why a lot of these corn stars have had things happen to them when they were younger, and perhaps that influenced their decision to do this particular thing, which then causes more trauma. And okay, we can't talk about that too much on YouTube, but by their fruits you will know them. Certain activities tend to be correlated with certain effects. We live in a world of cause and effect. Why do so many Hollywood child stars end up cooked despite having millions of dollars? Justin Bieber's one that pops up in mind. He looks pretty cooked. By their fruits, you'll know them. Maybe there's something wrong with Hollywood. Now, when you're looking at the case studies, it is important not to get too caught up in particular examples, because there is an element of survivorship bias. People will tell you, oh, you can't just look at Justin Bieber. How about this celebrity? This celebrity here turned out okay. You don't have to look at just the cases. You need to look at the whole spectrum of data. That's what survivorship bias is. And the best way to explain survivorship bias is through the story. So during World War I or II, they had this issue where all these planes were coming back with all these different bullet marks on their wings, in the middle, and on the side. And a lot of these engineers were like, okay, so this is where these planes are getting shot. Let's fix these planes up. And they would just, fix that area up. But that didn't stop the issue, because the planes would keep coming back with the same problems. And after a while, some smart person realized, wait a second, we're repairing the wrong areas of the plane here. We need to repair the bits without bullets, because those are indicative of planes that have crashed or that have landed in the ocean somewhere. The ones that we don't see, the ones that have never made it back. We're focusing on the evidence that we can see as opposed to the evidence we can't see. That's what survivorship bias is. The tendency of us focusing on things we can see while avoiding the more important silent evidence. So look at the whole spectrum, not just particular popular points. Now, let's take a look at something that's good for you. A great example is exercise. It sucks on the front end, right? You don't want to go gym. The habit sucks to build. It takes a bit of time. You have to sweat. You have to work. But the benefits are enormous. There's study after study and anecdotal evidence, a subjective feeling that you get after a good workout where you're like, damn, I feel good. Your muscles are popping. Your heart is working better. There's so many benefits. So it's actually inverse of the negative diagram we looked at before. You feel a little bit of pain, but then the benefits become better over time. And over time, you don't even feel the pain. There's only so many people, like how many people have you interacted with that have told you, oh man, I really regret going to the gym. I really regret exercising. I really regret focusing on my health. That was a bad decision. I don't know anyone who said that. So that is something to keep in mind. So good things, good relationships, for example, take time to build. It's an investment to build a relationship. You're doing favors for people. You're showing up. You're having integrity. You're not taking advantage of them. And if they are a well-functioning adult, they will probably reciprocate, take care of you, become an asset in your life. Great businesses might suck at the beginning. They require strong roots, like a tree, to have that foundation to grow large. It might take a lot of rejection. It might take a lot of work, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of study, a lot of putting yourself out there. But the benefits are enormous once that shit's working, right? Once you don't have to worry about clocking into a 9 to 5, or you have wealth to support you and possibly a few generations after you, you don't really worry about those hard days. It actually makes it better because you have that contrast. Mastering the craft, getting really good at something, spending thousands of hours in dedicated practice to become excellent. Yeah, it sucks when you're practicing, but the benefits of seeing yourself in all that glory, performing at the highest level, it's worth it. So those things operate at a higher level. They're truths, they're not illusions. And Bruce Lee had a great quote on this. He said, some martial arts are very popular, real crowd pleasers, because they look good, have smooth techniques. But beware, they are like wine that has been watered. A diluted wine is not a real wine, not a good wine, hardly the genuine article. Some martial arts don't look so good, but you know they have a kick, a tang, a genuine taste. They're like olives. The taste may be strong and bittersweet. The flavor lasts. You cultivate a taste for them. No one ever developed a taste for diluted wine. So the things that really have an impact in your life, the things that really matter, require a little bit of work, which is the complete opposite of AI slop, of this illusion world that we're entering. You need to pay attention to the fruits. The fruits are your emotions. Not the fleeting emotions that come up, oh, I really want to eat a little bit of junk food. Yeah, so you have that desire. That doesn't mean that junk food is good for you. That's a fleeting emotion. We're talking about the lasting emotions, the long-term feeling. You'll be eating a bunch of junk food your whole life. Your body feels like shit. You have no energy. You're lethargic. You look like shit. That's what we're talking about. That's the fruits of those actions. Or you chose the wrong path in life. You went down this career path that looked good on paper. Everybody said this is the thing to do. But every day you wake up depressed. You feel horrible. You don't feel motivated. You know that there's more in life. Anyone could tell you to stay in that job, to, keep that salary, it's safe. But your feelings don't lie to you. Your emotions tell you the truth. You need to learn to build a connection with your intuition, with your inner world, because that is what pierces the veil. That is what allows you to see through the fakeness of the AI slop, the AI deception, or any deception really. Pay attention to how things affect you on the long time horizons. Pay attention to the trade-offs. Like I've got one that I'm currently working on right now, which is coffee, which seems harmless. Everyone says it's harmless. Everyone says coffee is amazing. Coffee, this study says coffee does this, coffee does that. It's great for your heart. It's great for this. But when I pay attention to certain coffees that I've been having for many years, I realize that there have been some trade-offs I don't like. A little bit of adrenal fatigue, a little bit of dependence. And that's something I might be working on removing. So it's important for you to order your life. Remember that quote. Now you see why I may have to make a whole video on this. By their fruit, you will know them. It doesn't lie. Anyway, catch you.